Okay, next.
What was Paul's thorn in the flesh?
Oh, this is a real hot question. Let's look at it. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. People get so religious over this question, and the answer is so obvious. Some people say, well, his thorn in the flesh was he had an eye disease. You have to really use your imagination to get that out of the Bible. I grew up hearing that he had club feet. I don't know where that comes from. That's not anywhere in the Bible. Plus, the majority of Paul's ministry, he walked everywhere he went. How would he do that if he had club feet? Well, then what was his thorn in the flesh? Well, let's look at it. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, he says in verse 7, "And lest I should be exalted above measure, through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure." So people say, well, he had an issue of pride. He had so many revelations from God that it made him proud. Well, first of all, when you really have a revelation from God, it does not give you a pride problem. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't give you a pride problem. When wisdom really comes from heaven, it's peaceable, it makes you humble. That just is not the way it works with a revelation. Revelations don't give you pride. Well, then what's he talking about? Well, let's look at it. "And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations." Paul said, you know what? I could really make headway because of the revelations that I'm receiving. I could burst into new territory, affect new regions because of the amazing revelation that God has given me. And because my revelation is so impacting and could transform so many regions, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh. Well, because it says there was given me, people think that it was given by God. It doesn't say that. In fact, he goes on to say, a messenger of Satan. This was something sent from the devil. And when it says there was given me, a better translation would be there was assigned to me. It was a demonic assignment. Some kind of a demonic force was sent to buffet him. This word buffet means to beat, to hinder, to hamper, to distract. Why? Lest I should be exalted above measure. Yes, I should break into new realms, affect more people. This thing was sent to hamper me. And Paul says in verse 8, "For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for in my strength is made perfect in weakness." So people say, well, that's God's will for you just to accept whatever comes down the pike. God just wants you to glorify him in your weakness. Well, hey, let's analyze this. What was his thorn in the flesh? A messenger of Satan. You know what it was? It was people. Judaizers, legalizers, false brethren. He had problems with them everywhere he went. They just buffeted him. They hassled him. They were a distraction to him. Oh, if he just didn't have that, he could have really made progress. But he had to deal with it all the time. He says 3 times, I asked God to remove this from me. Well, it was a prayer that God can't answer. Because the prayer was, God, would you please remove all these problem people from my life? God can't answer that prayer. Because if he removes one, the devil's going to send another one. If you pray, God, remove this one, God removes it, the devil's going to send another one. The devil just keeps sending them and sending them and sending them. So God said to Paul, hey, my grace will show up in you in the middle of your struggle. You can't remove all the problem people in your life, but I'll give you the power to deal with it and to overcome them as they come. That was his thorn in the flesh. It was not an eye disease. It was not club feet. It was people. And likewise, if you're struggling with people, well, maybe somebody has struggled with you. We're all imperfect. Rather than pray a prayer that's really hard to answer, God, remove all these problem people, why don't you just say, God, give me the grace to forgive these people, to deal with these people, to overcome these people, and God will give you the grace to deal with it, just like he did to Paul. That was Paul's thorn in the flesh. But we're out of time.